This is Living Awake.
Happens by chance.
Hey, what's up, world? It's Melanie, Fiona, and I'm welcoming you to Awake Radio, where we talk about navigating life through awakening moments, moments that change us for the better, elevate our lives. I'm so excited to be doing this because I think it's really, really important, and I always love having a guest on the show. Today is a very, very special guest. Like, this is probably one of the most special guests I've had yet. I'd like to introduce you guys to Carmen Murray. She
Hello.
is the CEO and founder of Title IX Productions, which also happens to be my production management team and labels. So this is really a family situation. So Carmen has been with me through personal things, professional things. And so I wanted us to get in and talk about the thing that I think we bond most on, which is women and women's worth. Yes. And the special power that I think women have. So let's call it women's rights and respect.
That's great. That's actually a great way to start.
Yes, and so of course I want to start every episode off with a quote, and I feel like this quote kind of does something for both of us, which is, "The woman who does not require validation from anyone is the most feared individual on the planet." And the reason why I chose that quote today is because Carmen has been like a big sister to me as well as a manager, and you have empowered me to feel like I can do anything, from leaving home, Toronto, building what we've built together in music as a profession, guiding me as a friend and a sister through personal things in my life, empowering me to feel like I could be a mom, a working mom, supporting me on this journey. And I've watched you do all of it as well. And I think what I want most people to know is where that strength comes from for you, and where that awakening of power within yourself came from, and how you were able to build Title IX. And first of all, tell people where Title IX came from, because obviously it's a bill and everything.
So Title IX was a bill that was passed in 1972, the year I was born, and it was passed by Nixon. And it was to give women the same opportunities for higher education, because at that time we weren't able to go beyond high school to have scholarships and have government funding behind it. So it was for equality, so that you don't have any discrimination against you, that if you actually shown the ability to go to the next level, you had the opportunity to do so.
Amazing.
Which is also comes to women's rights, the fact that you even have to, in 1972, you need a bill to have that opportunity.
I mean, that's not that long ago.
No.
That is not that long ago.
No, and sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And it also brings us to, which is something that's on my heart when it comes to women's rights, particularly today. When you look at that, currently, I believe we're at 4% of we're at 4% of CEOs as far as women representing the most strongest, most powerful companies within the US. So on average, that would be 21 women out of 500 of the Fortune 500 companies.
Wow.
So in my case, being a CEO, that means that I am 1 out of 45 in a room, being a woman, holding a position as a CEO.
And so tell me where you think that worth for you came from, like knowing your worth as a woman, your power, because I always, the things that we've accomplished have been really amazing together. And I love it. And people just always like, well, how'd you do it? And I'm just like, we had the right intention behind us.
Right.
And I feel like for me, you really gave me legs to stand on and helped me come out of my shell in certain ways and be strong enough to know that I could empower myself to be all of the things that I wanted to be. And you've supported me to do that. And so I think from a little girl, I had that fearlessness. But when you step into an arena like music or any industry, it's always helpful to have someone who guides you. And so you were that for me. So where did that come from for you?
You know what? It started very early, because what I love about what you're doing now, which also goes to our journey, is knowing that you are a woman, you're a woman of color, and you're also an immigrant.
Hello.
Who says,
shout out to Guyana.
Hello.
And Canada.
So had a great time there too. But it's a thought that you said, you know what, this is something I want to accomplish. But it's knowing that you really have the ability to do so. It's two women looking at each other and saying, okay, I've been down this road. Let me tell you some of the things that I've experienced. You listened. There was a woman who spoke to me that was down a road, and I listened. And my awakening moment when it started was early on in my career, when I learned very quickly that, you're this woman at the table. I can go into any office. We can have a dinner at a restaurant. As I'm sitting there and, I'm thinking of, I'm here to pitch my idea, my concept. I have a strategy. I know about the execution. You've brought me here because you love my ideas and you understand, my abilities to come up with a marketing plan around it and the hours that you put into it. And women, we work twice as hard because we think about if I make a mistake, there's my opportunity. It's gone. And so sometimes we pause too long to jump in and say, you know what, I can handle this. That in that moment, I can think fast on my feet, I'm resourceful, and I'll be able to figure it out and just leap. Where I find that most men will have the opportunity and jump in. So my awakening moment is when I worked on something for quite some time and I really believed in it and I knew I had it and I was waiting a year for this meeting, a year. And so we're sitting and I pitch it and they love it and then we're starting to carry over into the evening. So we get up and they say to each other, like, let's go over to the cigar room. And I'm standing there thinking, okay, they didn't really ask me to come into that next room. And so I watched them walk away and I'm sitting out there going, okay, and I'm watching them discuss my idea and my deal. And they're celebrating it, but I'm on the outside of that door. So I go over to the bar, I get myself a wine, and I'm sitting there for over 30, 40 minutes just looking through. And they're handshaking and high-fiving, and part of you is like, wow, okay, I really did a great job. They're gonna see it through. This is fantastic. For the team, we did it.
Right.
But I'm not in that room. And so I thought about, wow, what about the woman that has an idea and they take it to the golf course and she's not invited? Or it's that woman who has an idea and they go into the men's locker room and they continue to have the conversation. You can't go along.
Right.
There's a moment that you realize, you know what I have to do? My awakening moment said, I'm not going to pick up, smoking. I don't smoke cigars.
Right.
Golf isn't for me. For some women, that is. I can't go in the men's locker room with you.
Right.
So what I have to do is learn to close my deal at the table at that moment and before that check comes. And so that was my awakening moment.
Hello. Wow, that's incredible. I didn't even know that story. That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Yeah, and it's what a lot of us experience because they didn't ask me if I did. I'm familiar with cigars. There are women who do.
Right.
But they didn't ask me.
They didn't ask you.
They just assumed.
It's so interesting because obviously, if you can see Carmen, she's a beautiful woman. She's very attractive. But the thing about Carmen that I love about you more so, and I think that people always are drawn to is the light. And I think that's a light that you have that comes from the confidence and the belief that you have within yourself. I mean, we have been in many experiences in the working field and industry. I remember once taking a meeting with you fresh out of Canada. We walked into the meeting and it was a room full of men. And we walked in and I was all excited. Ooh, it's, industry meeting, and walked in and it was, again, a room full of men, and they barely did so much to acknowledge us as lift their heads from the chocolate cake they were eating. And the burger they were eating, whatever they were eating. And we came in there all excited to play music, and we walked in. And I remember feeling your energy in that room shift. And I remember feeling like this is not the space. And I remember you wrapped that meeting up so quickly because I felt like we were like pieces of meat that walked in. And entertainment. Come in and do your song and dance and your high heels and your tight dress and and too often I feel like as an artist in the music industry, it is so difficult for us to maneuver that line of respect and flirtation, as they say, because it's like, oh, you want people to like you, you want to be likable and charismatic, and it's hard because men sometimes take that too far and they think, oh, she wants to sleep with me. Oh, well, if I finagle this thing, then I can get her to do what I want her to do. And what I love about what we've done is we've never taken that route. And I appreciate so much that you've always protected me from that. You took me out of there with the quickness. Like, no, this is not the type of experience I want you to have. This is not the type of meetings that we're doing. We will not be doing business with people who conduct themselves like this. And that's so hard. So as an executive in music, as a manager, like, what do you think is really important for young women, just even in general, like social media space, because now everybody's a self-made entrepreneur, everybody's doing something for themselves in a public forum. What do you feel about that? Like, how do you feel women can do a better job or how do you feel women are expressing themselves these days to maintain their worth and their value?
Well, first of all, this is an extraordinary time because as a woman, you're your own author. Keep that in mind when you're on Twitter and you're on Instagram. You're your own author.
Right.
There's a point where I believe that own your sexuality. That's great. There's beautiful women. There are women who choose to use that side of themselves to move forward. That's fine because you're a woman in power making that choice. It's another thing when you make that choice because you think that's all you have. Those are the girls that need women like us to say there is another route. Mel, you could have taken the short road. The opportunity was there. It wasn't that you've been offered to strip down, do something else with your career, move quickly in a direction based upon what you're willing to do. I could walk you in a room and walk you out, but you had the choice to go back to that room, and you chose not to. You actually stood for what your rights were. So women like you having a voice, knowing that you've gone through the career that you have, that you're taking this forum and your stage to do exactly what you're doing, the awakening. So what I would tell a lot of these young girls or women who are in power and these girls are watching, consider this. Today, it may feel as though, all right, I want your attention, I'm gonna flash. I want your attention, I want you to look at a body part. And then later on you say, well, now I have them focused. Have you tried to just look them in the eye and say, I matter right here? Have you tried that too? Because it does. There are so many great men out there. You know, you don't have to take it as we're feminists, so therefore you're anti-male.
Right.
That's not it. It's actually women who need to hold women accountable.
Absolutely.
Because you look at this race. Your politics are your politics. You know, you could be for Trump, against Hillary. That's fine. You have that right. I'm a woman who says you have that right. That's okay. But what really was heartbreaking for me, and it was really heartbreaking, I was sad for days and I really couldn't place, you know, you lose in this. When you get out there, be prepared to lose because that's going to happen. So you lose.
More often than win, absolutely.
But what I didn't like is when, you know, you look at Trump and people say, oh, you know, his conduct could be called to question. His business practices aren't always ethical.
Right.
But then when you look at Hillary, you say she's a devil. She's a demon. She's a bitch. She is the spawn of the devil.
She's a nasty
She's a nasty woman. And when you see other women believing in that type of language and spirit and to say those things about another woman, why couldn't you look at her and say, I question her business ethics?
Right.
Why did she have to be a bitch?
Right. Right.
When he feels comfortable actually calling you one.
Right.
So for me, it was the women who were willing to buy into the idea to attack her in that type of way.
In that type of way.
Disagree.
Yeah.
But don't become part of the crowd that I call, there are men who are men of age who are boys. Don't become part of the good old boys. Age doesn't make you a man.
Right.
So when that crowd pulls together to attack a woman, step back and think about, you don't have to agree with her, but speak to her. You don't have to become what he created.
What he created.
And so that's what was really hard for me, considering that my entire career has been wanting to give women a place to be vocal. Where is there a bigger stage than running for president?
Man.
And what did we show our young girls by calling her all those things? Women calling her all those things.
Yeah.
Not thinking about her fight.
Right.
You know, I knew coming in with your career, look what you were able to salvage. How many women have you admired that you've seen depression, lose everything that they have financially? Someone telling them that your career is over at this date because I say so.
Right.
Look how many women really survive entertainment. Survive it. Stay whole in it. And look back on it and say, you know what? I hit roadblocks. I fought for certain things. I absolutely have scars, but I've maintained my integrity. You've maintained your integrity. Those men in that room, when we had that cake and paid us no attention, you had a #1 record that was going to radio to be #1 that brought you your Grammys, and they couldn't even hear it.
You know what? It's so crazy because I go back to thinking about my experiences and that in that time, and we had to do a lot of searching to, you know, find where and who it was going to be, the home that was going to appreciate it. And I remember walking in with It Kills Me at certain labels and people saying, you sing too well.
You sing too well.
No one's going to be able to sing along with you.
No.
And you're so well spoken. It's kind of intimidating. No one wants to hear you speak that eloquently and that intelligently.
Can you dumb it down?
Can you dumb it down? And
Dumb it down and
sex
take it off.
Yeah. Dumb it down and take it off. And I just remember feeling like this can't be it. Like, this is not where I signed up for. I love Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston made a legacy and a career and a lifetime of connecting with people so genuinely through her voice alone. That's what I got into music to do. And so when I experienced those moments, I remember feeling like there were moments when I felt really down and like, am I going to be able to find the place?
Right.
Am I going to be able to find the place? And we eventually did. And it was about the music. And that's always what I've always wanted it to be about, and my talent. And I've always been that, because I've always experienced that. Like, I don't ever walk into a room and be like, I'm so hot, I'm so beautiful, I'm so fly, and I'm going to get them with this.
It's a cheap thing.
It's
Never.
a cheap thing. I walk in and I've always, and maybe it's the tomboy in us, because I grew up playing sports and I was never like really that girl who, you know, cared about the femininity of things.
Right.
From an I think making it an example, as opposed to being like, I'm good at sports, I'm good at singing, I'm really smart, I'm funny, I'm competitive, and I have drive, and I want to try, and I'm adventurous, and I'm willing to take risks. So let's go and have fun, and I guarantee you're gonna like me.
Right.
And so I always wanted to have that perception where I always, if you think we're beautiful, you see me, you see you, oh wow, what an attractive woman. The minute you speak to me, I want you to then turn around and say, wow, she's so rooted and deep and strong and clear and intelligent and driven. And those are the things that I find as compliments. Those are the things that really make me feel good. And it backs to the whole thing about validation. Like, I don't need you to tell me what you think of me on the outside, but if you walk away feeling like, that's validation for me. I closing a deal, making those things happen, getting what we want out of this. We always call ourselves the little engine that could. Because no one knows how we have made that little engine go. We've got so many stories. But I say that all to say, and to bring it back around, is that it really is a journey. And I'm so thankful for you in my life. And I hope that girls and women and female that are listening to this are empowered by what you're saying, because that's really what it is. It's a journey for all of us, but we have to find the power within ourselves to be able to move through the obstacles, past the chocolate cake, past the ostracizing, past the cigar room, and make our own room.
Yep, exactly.
And be there. And so, I mean, it's been a wonderful journey.
Yes, it has.
And I appreciate you so much. And it's really amazing. And one thing that I want to come back to that we were talking about before was the concept of being able to do it all. Which is something you've empowered me to do. I'm a new mom.
Yes.
I've watched you be a mom. You have amazing children.
Thank you.
Carmen's children are superstar athletes. They're both in college, if you can believe this. She's done a lot in this short time in her life. But the most amazing thing that you've inspired me by is seeing you balance being a mother, being an executive, and having your kids thrive and be successful. And so how do you feel that being a mom, just because I want to talk about this, has helped you become this fierce woman in life? Like,
Oh, wow.
And know your worth.
It's funny because, for me, it was all the mistakes. When there's a point where you just have to say, you know what, I know everyone wants to call me, oh, you're superwoman, to watch you juggle all these things, you're superwoman. And so there was a point where I was like, right, I am superwoman. I can do all these things. And then you realize you're getting ready to jump off the building and there's no cape. There's no cape. So no, I'm a real woman. I'm gonna make real mistakes. But what you see is the miracle of not giving up. That's all. That's it. I am a mom. I am proud to be a mom. The purpose for why I'm willing to work as hard as I do is so that I can provide for my children and myself, to give them those opportunities. So it's interesting when people say to you, oh, well, now that you're pregnant, you're not going to be able to. And now that you're having a baby, you're not going to be able to.
Oh, man.
And, God forbid if that were true, where would the world be
be?
If women were unable to continue working because they were having children?
The world wouldn't exist.
There'd be no population.
Right.
There'd be no population.
Absolutely.
So it comes to a reality of, no, it's not that. It just gives you more purpose. It starts to let you let go of certain things. It makes you selfless. So on one hand, I'm with you and you're with people who support you in that. I've been on the road with you and I'm going, yo, Mel, we've been out here for 4 or 5 days. I miss my kids, you know, and I can
need
have
to
that
smell them.
conversation. Exactly.
Right.
And it doesn't make you say, you know what? You're focused on this and you're here with me.
You're weak.
You're weak.
You're too emotional.
About that. You were understanding too. I was feeling like I was missing something, a game to make a choice to go to an award show or vice versa. You understand the fact that I was being pulled in 2 directions because I am an executive, but I am a mother. And it doesn't make one less or more important than the other. It just is who I am. And so it's about being with people who support you in that.
Right.
And it's also coming to what I love about now is that people are starting to recognize, you know, well, guess what? He also became a father. And he has a responsibility to his family.
Right.
And he's also working for his family. And he also feels that tug to come home to spend time with his family. It's not just the woman's work. It's the village. It takes the village to do it. And so even in your case, of course there are people who are asking, well, now that she has a baby, what does that mean? What do you mean? That means there's more for her to write about.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's more story.
Absolutely.
There's more ways to connect. There's another way that she can use her stage like you're doing right now. You just added what you're doing, which is awake, on top of your music career, on top of being a mother. You're more active now than you've ever been.
Hello. Hello.
And looking fabulous.
Thank you very much. I learned from you.
As you're doing it. So it's just a stereotype, which then comes back to is other women who don't support women who are going through that. You know, again, I don't want to stand in a space where I'm anti-male. I am about supporting one another, whether it's women or men. And so I think it's a time to just say, you know, you don't have to be Superwoman. Don't aim to be Superwoman. They're not superpowers. It's really just you not giving up.
I mean, what are we going we're gonna go take over the world today. What can I go do? Let's go build something. I'm excited. This is very good. Oh man, I see you almost every day. I talk to you every day, and it's just no different from any other day. This is so wonderful. Okay, I have 3 questions that I ask everybody who comes here. They are awakening questions.
Okay.
So everything relates back to being awake. So the first thing is, do you have a life's mantra, or do you have a root word that keeps you staying true to who you are on your journey for your purpose?
Yeah, no weapons formed.
No weapons
Formed shall prosper. That is something that absolutely has helped me through, because what you understand in that is weapons will be formed, but they will not be successful. So that when I'm facing that mountain, or I'm facing that no, or there is a closed door, I know, okay, all right, let me re-look at this, adjust, and I'm gonna get through somehow. And so you just understand the moments and that you get past them. And I think at anyone in their life, you look back on something that seemed like the worst thing that could have ever happened, and you go, wow, you know, I'm actually appreciative that it did. So no weapons formed.
No weapons formed. Second question is, that was awesome, by the way. What makes you feel most awake, present, activated, engaged?
Oh my gosh, you know what? It's like, oh, that's hard to choose. You know, I feel like it's when I'm in nature. You know, when we go to St. Lucia, and I'll tell certain parts of this story. It's actually when we're just floating in the water and it's silent, and then you find yourself just laughing and giggling at just creation and beauty, and simplicity of things, and just allowing for the current to take you.
I understand that fully.
Yeah.
Something beautiful about feeling small.
Yeah.
I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, too. And then the last question is, what do you do when you wake up first thing in the morning? What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Oh my God. You know, I have the nickname the Rooster.
Okay. What's the first thing you do?
So at 4:30 a.m. No, actually, it's funny what you were saying, because my answer is the first thing I do is smile. I wake up and I smile.
Set the
I am
tone.
excited just for the next day, and I know that joy comes in the morning, no matter what. So I wake up, I smile.
Set the tone. And I always say, you know, it's a choice to be happy.
Yes.
And it just takes so much. You can take so much control of your day if you just decide to be happy when you wake up in the morning.
Right.
So starting with a smile, best thing. I wake up smiling these days because I have I have Cameron jumping on me, slapping me in the face, and then I wake up and be like, oh yeah, it's the greatest work I ever made. Smile first thing in the morning. Anyways, that was awesome. I want to thank you so much
Of course.
for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing your journey. Thank you so much for encouraging me on my journey and helping me on my journey. And I just hope that anyone who's listening is going to feel inspired by what we've talked about
And
today.
thank you for having me, and once again for inviting me on to the next part of your life, the next phase, the next journey. I'm all the way in.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Until next time, stay awake.
I try.